Well, all right. It is Friday, April 19, almost 6:55 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Got my Alp Orb trade on already. Got the win. All right, so it's going to be 7 and 5 minutes. Just going to wait a few minutes before I get started here. This market has been crazy during the overnight. I mean, huge spike sell-off, like early in the session. I was seeing this last night happening. I was looking at my phone, just huge spike down, and then I was just shocked to see prices all the way back up here when I woke up. I woke up around here and looked at my phone. I couldn't believe it was all the way back up there at that point. But all right, so trade one, the Alp Orb works again. Somehow got 23 ticks, got an extra tick. And this time I traded it with 4 accounts. So PA6, I put on 1 contract, 25K account. 36 is the account that I've only taken the Alp Orb trades on. Traded it for 8 days, so 8 trades. And I'm up 1,766. And then account 34, I decided to put 1 contract on. So that's good, up 111. And then account 29, 2 contracts. And now I'm at 52,076. So having that trade in the morning really helps things. I'm already copying on 4 out of, how many accounts do I have active right now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 4 out of 7. So basically half of my accounts I'm putting on the trade now. Scott, good morning. Scott says he's stopping by to say hello for a few minutes. How are you today? Any trades yet? So I took the 1 trade on the 4 accounts. I put it definitely outside of all of this just to make sure that if it gets hit, that I would be confident it would work. And yeah, once it finally got down there, it worked pretty quickly, but it took a while for this bar to work its way down and for this one to finally go. Scott's doing well. Took a couple trades. Market was a little wild before. Yeah, a little wild is right for sure. It was crazy. I mean, I couldn't believe the whole overnight session. This is the 1 minute chart, but man, it's intense. All right, so it's just about 7. I'm gonna switch over. I'm gonna switch over to my tick charts. Let me turn off my screen for a moment here, just so I can switch my account without showing my name from my live account. All right. There we go. Scott, I hope your trades were a couple wins. All right, so I've got 4 charts, and one of them is set to just go for 11 ticks, and the other 3 are set to try to capture a bit more than 11 ticks. My first trade would be on PA7, or I guess I call it my second trade. My first trade on the BS system on tick charts. And let's see what we get. Oh, I'm just seeing something here. Just looking at one of my charts. First entry. I think it's fine. Well, you could kind of say it's first entry. It ticked below here and went up and then failed. Let's see, what's the high? 79.25. It's kind of funky. Kind of funky. Scott says, what platform do you trade on? I'm on Ninja. Ninja Trader 8. So I will be risking my account on PA7 if it goes against me. I'll have the stop moved out of the way. So this one has the least drawdown. I had like 600 in drawdown, so we'll see what happens here. Scott trades on Quant Tower. See if we can get this here. All right, so picked up the win there. This account, only has 600 in drawdown now, so I'm only trading one contract at a time, just going for my scalp. So trying to dig that one out of the hole. And it's got some ways to go still when I'm making 46 bucks at a time, but that's just the way it is right now. So that's trade number 2. P7. Looks like I got 10 ticks. Yeah, the Quant Towers, Alpine trades on as well. All right, so got my first win there, or my second win there. First win for the BS system today. Update. Days traded is now 17 on this one. And let's do my stats. So 2-0 for the day. I'm having the best week I've ever had in my trading career as far as win rate. 16-0. It's crazy. All the accounts are doing pretty well except for the one. Go to PA8 next. All right, so working with 3 charts. All right, so I'm just going to be patient here. Wait for the next good thing. And here I am at 7:08 in the morning. I've got all of my active accounts traded except for 2. So it's a good spot to be in right now. We'll see if I'm able to get these next 2 trades for these 2 accounts. And then I might, what I'll probably do is if that happens, I'll pick one to trade with for the rest of the day. All right, so I just made it so that 2 of my charts I'll be trading for 11 ticks. And 1 of my charts I can go for more. Scott's going to jump off now. Have a great weekend. Thanks, Scott. Thanks for coming by. Appreciate the comments. Hope you have a good weekend as well. Hope you're going into the weekend with a green week. And hopefully see you next week. All right, so for me, you know, I always like to think about, well, what if these were all PAs? How would my day be going? And so I'm currently up at a little over 700. So, you know, if I was doing 700 every day, just as like a starting point, I'd be happy. But it is really great to have this Alpine Orb trade. Really excited about it. I'm 8-0 now with it on my Apex accounts. I've got to be something like 80-2 between my Apex trades with it and my playback back testing. I'm gonna have to count over the weekend, but I'm gonna do more over the weekend, more back testing. So that number will change, but and I'll calculate it to make sure what the exact number is. But if I was 80-2, that would be a 97.6% win rate. So I will trade a 97.6 win rate on a trade every single day of the week for sure. And I think what I'll do, since basically the accounts are going to be at risk every time I take the trade and never know when it's not going to work one day, I'll never trade all of my accounts with it. Like I'll always have some group of accounts that are not traded on it as a backup. And those will be the accounts that I trade the BS system on the tick charts the rest of the day or the rest of my session. So that way I feel like I can kind of maximize how good and effective that opening trade is, but yet be prepared for if it doesn't work on any given day, that I have other accounts that won't be affected and can continue without starting everything over. All right, so 3 charts. On one chart, I'll play trying to capture a little bit more than my regular 11-tick scalp, and on the other 2, I will just be going for 11-tick scalps at this point. It's interesting. The market is not as volatile right now as I was kind of expecting it to be. Does it look like on the 1 minute? Yeah, it's really calmed down here. I mean, it's interesting. And then here's the daily chart. So really, I've had quite the sell-off once we broke out of the range we were in. And yesterday, really just ended up selling off after I finished. Never did retest the high that I thought might have happened, but it was interesting how right before I was stopping, I was kind of like changing my thought that, oh, we probably do need to retest the low the way it was looking and the way the price was moving at that point. So I think people get in trouble when they like set a bias for the day, or like, oh, this has to happen. You know, it's like, that's where I've gotten in trouble in the past on certain trades, like just thinking like, oh, it has to retest the high. And that's all I see. So every trade is based on that. I think, you know, that can get me in trouble. I also was just thinking, I was watching UK Trader, shout out to UK Trader. And, you know, he's still drawing all of max channels and trend lines and STTs and all kinds of stuff, right? And I was just thinking, like, yeah, he said it himself actually at one point in his stream yesterday that sometimes he draws these like bigger channels and he creates a bias. He had like a really wide down channel, and then when he takes it off, it looks more like a range. And I think that's kind of the same idea. It's really limiting when you're drawing those things because, you know, if you're drawing an uptrend, you might have a great opportunity for a counter trend trade, but it's really hard to take it when you see your drawing is saying everything is going up, right? So you tend to just automatically skip those. And with what I'm doing, I don't have to skip them. Like, as long as there's room, I know I can take them. So it's kind of nice to not be drawing those things. I mean, I know just looking at it, I don't have to draw it to know like, okay, this was probably a really steep trend with a break and a new low. So I don't necessarily think that there has to be a new high, you know. Looking at this one, like, this is kind of the same idea. There's kind of probably a steep uptrend here with a break probably like here and a new high. So it doesn't necessarily need a new high here either. So, yeah, and then you just start looking at the individual stuff. So I can see it in my head without drawing it, and not drawing it makes it easier to not overanalyze. And, you know, you might have a great trade, but not be able to take it because of all the things you've drawn, you know, is just kind of confusing the picture and giving you mixed signals. Yeah, that's what I used to get stuck in all the time, was just, you know, just no confluence, and you know, there could be multiple different ways to draw a channel, and, you know, was there a break or not a break, and all those sorts of things. And so that's Max Pat's system that I'm referring to, that I used to trade on ES. And I'm so thankful that I got off of that, because I think it's just honestly really limiting. I think it was great that I learned it, and I think it helps me see the market. And I definitely learned how the market moves by studying that system. But as far as the drawings and the entries and all that sort of stuff, there's other ways to do it where you don't draw that stuff that keeps you out of so many really good trades, because it's just subjective the way you're drawing things. And it gives you a little bit more freedom to just trade based off of off the actual price action of what you're saying, and not based on your drawings. That's my take on it anyway. And having said all that, I mean, obviously I'm still going to have losses. Yeah, it's not like I'm a perfect trader by any means now. You know, I'm still learning and figuring out what works for me. But this week feels like you know, hopefully turning a corner here. I don't think it's a fluke that what am I now? 16-0? Yeah, 16-0. I don't think it's a fluke. I think I had a good week. Obviously it's not like I'm crushing the game with these numbers. You know, my P&L is not amazing. Still treating that very conservatively. This market just is kind of a slow grind down. But between getting this opening trade now and trading it for a week and a half, no losses yet. I mean, all but one of the 8 wins on it were just such easy winning trades. Just once the order was in, once it was tagged and triggered, just in and out inside of seconds each time. And then there was just the one day, which was the second day I tried it on my Apex account, where I was in the trade for 22 minutes and I had to add I probably could have got out of it without all adding the contracts, but I was able to add a contract 5 times and I got a little bit more than the standard scalp that I would normally get on the trade. And so that one was a little tricky, but easily if I was adding in the wrong spots or adding too many at the wrong spots, maybe I could have lost that trade, but it worked out. So if I can have a trade that's 97.5% win rate, most weeks, 5 trades a week, most weeks, that means I'm going to be 5-0, almost like before the week even starts. The way that looks, I'll be 5-0. So that's going to really change the numbers for me as far as my overall trading. But still, 5-0 this week on that opening trade, and then I'm still 11-0 with my regular system. So if I can kind of be as consistent as I've been on the BS system in tandem with the opening trade, I think I can really make some progress here finally. And then at some point, I think that will really allow me to build up more accounts. And so I'll have like a stack of accounts dedicated to the opening trade. And then I'll have a subset of accounts that I don't use on the opening trade that I just use on my system. Or maybe there'll be some amount of rotating a little bit so that some of the accounts that aren't on the opening trade get the benefit of it sometimes. But on those days, another batch of accounts don't get traded, so that I can just always have accounts on the side that I can use the BS system, trade those. And then, but the bulk of my accounts, I'd say I always want to be like half of my accounts are getting the opening trade. I think would be pretty cool. Maybe even 3/4 at some point. But the first thing is first. So now I'm 1,000 away from a payout on PA6, and that's a 25K account. So that's only a $1,500 payout if I can get there. I haven't traded the open on PA8 yet, and I think if I can get one of these other 50K accounts to pass and have at least one more 50K. I mean, look at this. I've got 1, 2, 3 accounts that are basically, 2 that are a third of the way there. This one's a little past halfway there. But if I can get just one of those to another PA, then I'll be ready to trade the opening trade on a 50K too, because I just want to have one backup 50K before I start doing it. That's what I'm thinking right now. Man, this thing just continues to just grind down. So look like on the 1 minute. Yeah. It's moves like this where, I get tempted to want to ride it, just kind of freelance without a system. But as long as I'm trading and I still have good charts, and I don't really have necessarily a read as to why the market's going to do something at a certain spot, I'm just going to stick with my system. And then if I have traded all of my accounts and my system is all used up, then that's the point where maybe I'll consider trading more subjectively in spots. Yeah, just more discretionary and looser, but yeah, so I'm looking forward to how this develops, because really the way this week has gone, I mean, if I can even do, I don't know, it just depends. You just don't know how things are going to play out. Every time I've had a good week, the market will humble me the next week. So, and the way I'm trading now, I know that a loss means I lose an account. I've kind of switched over to that style and mentality. So at any given time that I enter a trade, if it works against me and I can't work out of a trade, then I potentially will lose any one of these accounts at any given time. So I have to keep that in mind too, because it's not going to be like the way it was where, I can get a loss and come back and keep the account going the next day. I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to give this a try and see how I do. So that could change things too. But it's interesting that when I switched over to deciding that that's how I was going to approach these accounts, I haven't taken a loss this week. So that is interesting. And I also haven't had to work out of any of the trades yet. So, but it's going to happen. It's going to come. I'm going to have to add contracts. Trades going to work against me. And, it's likely I'll blow up accounts. We'll see how I do. Right. So just no setups for my system in this. No pullbacks, really. I mean, everything is just 1 bar pullbacks and it drops. Really starting to feel like we're just retracing the whole overnight move back up. Sounding like my daughter is maybe going to start waking up. I think my wife is taking care of my daughter this morning and getting her to school if she lets her. So hopefully I'll be able to just trade through my regular session without stopping. All right. First, real pullback we've seen in quite some time this morning. It's interesting to me that, the market opened all the way back up here, but then after the open, it didn't fill the previous day close gap. It did it pre-market, which doesn't really count. So considering how big of a move up it made in the overnight, I would have thought that it would touch it at least during the regular hours before it would make this move down. Kind of curious. If I do that, I've gone beyond that. So don't really have a good read right now as to what the market's doing overall. Seems like I would expect at least a retest of this low. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here if it's pushing up above the EMA. I have a sense that it should probably be coming back down to test this, but the way that these bars are stacking, just not sure at the moment. EMA's obviously resistance at the moment. All right, so it does seem like it's gonna try to make this move down, retest the lows without giving me a setup. We'll see here. Interesting. There's actually a second entry short on the 1 minute. All right, well, at least it seems like my analysis was right about getting a test of this low, or an attempt at least. That's the kind of stuff that at some point I'd like to be able to try to take advantage of. Like maybe I'll have an account where I just trade subjectively based on my reads for those kinds of situations. All right, so here comes that retest of this low. And then it'll be interesting to see what happens from there. Market's definitely feeling just bearish and heavy. But after this point, it could change again. So look at the daily real quick. Yeah, I mean, you can see we're at this level, which could mean something. Yeah. There's resistance, could be support here. Possibly. All right. Well, just not a whole lot of setups for the BS system so far today. I took the only one I think made any sense that has happened since I started the stream. So this is potentially feeling like kind of like a double bottom situation. Yeah, I guess I could say this is first entry and below here is second entry. Enough to make the new low. But this is just a trade I'm not going to take right now. Even though I'm expecting the new low, just this is often the way it looks when there's going to be an area where the bias changes. You know, you get kind of like a double bottom and then kind of like a trappy situation to the short side, and shorts get trapped and this thing slingshots to the high side. So yeah, so right now, if I'm considering that a second entry short below this bar, then that just would have been a loser if you have your stop there. Let's see if it went 11 ticks. $48.75, $45.75. So it actually went 12 ticks. So it would have worked for 11 ticks, but not more. And this was the chart that I was trading that I would have been going for more. So I'm now only going to trade for 11 ticks on all of my charts. This is kind of what I was expecting. Just I could tell this was kind of like a double bottom looking kind of situation. A strong push through the EMA. Bars are huge. 121 ticks on this chart. 121 ticks on that chart. $85 here. So it seems like exactly what I was talking about on this chart. Kind of trapping in the shorts here and then slingshots up. You know, and it's essentially, I mean, there's kind of like two attempts to make a new low here, creating that double bottom. So this is an area where I'm not looking to go short right into the EMA. Yeah, because you could kind of consider this first entry, so a second entry below bar here. But this powered through the EMA so strong that I'm not taking a short here. Even though there's technically enough room to the EMA, but just to be safe. All right, that looks like it would have worked more than enough. These are the trades that I just stay out of now because the price action is so strong to the upside. This time it worked, but next time it might not. That's really like the only time I'm really supposed to skip trades is just when there's like a really objective reason to not take a trade. For me, the objective reason is just blasting through the EMA strong and then setting up right after he blasted through it. You know, it's already pushing up like a bounce off the EMA, but it could have started bouncing up before it reached my profit target. Even though I go for a very small profit target, you know, sometimes it won't even get there, even if there is room. The trade I skipped on this one down here was just based on my experience. I mean, also would have worked for 11, but I was going for more than 11 on this particular chart, so I would have not had a winner here if I took that trade. But I'm not throwing this chart away because it did work for 11. So now I'm just, all my charts, I'll only go for 11. So yeah, I can see getting a potential bounce here to the upside. Yeah, here it goes. So I got a similar situation setting up here. First entry short, so potential second entry short. Up here, again, I'm just not in an area where I'm going to be willing to consider shorts. Especially not right into the EMA. I think this is how my trading has gotten better this week is, well, one, I think I'm just more relaxed. And I think I'm more relaxed because I have that like opening trade that's winning every day. So it's just immediately putting me on the right foot. And then with my BS system, I'm just having an easier time, like having the balance between, I used to struggle. The edge that I found that's like 80% is taking every entry until you get a loser, regardless of how you read the market. But then I was picking up more losses, right? So the other thing I did before I was taking every entry was to just only take the entries that looked like good entries to me. And then I was getting less losers but less winners. Now I'm just trying to treat it a little bit more objectively, like when I have a reason to stay out of it, like a reason that's on the screen, not something I'm manufacturing in my head, to stay out of the trade. I think I'm just finding it. Oh, my daughter's awake. She's announcing it. I think I'm just finding a better balance between taking every entry as they come versus understanding objective reasons to not take certain entries. She's calling for me. I wonder if she'll accept her mom coming to get her. 1 second. All right. I have this monitor where I can talk to her through the iPad, through her camera. So it sounded like she wasn't going to accept her mom getting her out of bed this morning again. I said, hey, can you let your mom get you out of bed? She's 3. So it looks like she's allowing that to happen so I can stay here. All right, so what do I got going on here? First entry, it looks like, here's 95.50, 95.25. So this ticked below by 1 tick. So it looks like it triggered a short, but that's absolutely not a short I would take. And it's going to technically be a loss on this chart. I guess I'll consider a loss if it goes above this candle. So if that happens, I'll be down to 2 charts. So at this point, I mean, my trading isn't very exciting, but I'm seeing better results overall. Avoiding losses and taking advantage of the opening trade to have more accounts in the green on a single trade. I don't trust an 80% system, the BS system, enough to trade multiple accounts. But I trust the Alpine Orb trade because right now it's showing me it's a 97.5% win rate setup. So it just helps to have a setup where I can trust it every day. And I mean, there's going to be a day where I blow up these accounts, right? The hope is that, if you're winning 97 or 98 out of 100, should be able to pass accounts and get payouts before the blow up comes. So hopefully take advantage on enough accounts that I get to pass and get to payouts. But at the same time, I'll have other accounts on the side to be prepared for when something goes wrong one day and that 1 or 2% happens, that I'm still just in the game. And then at some point, if I can get ahead profit-wise and be playing with Apex's money, then I can just be more aggressive with my evaluations. Right now, I'm using my evaluations to prove out my system and my game plan. And so I'm trading them all normal. I'm not YOLOing anything. And but once I get ahead of the game, then I will be more aggressive, like maybe a bunch of the accounts I'll just, full port accounts on the opening trade, or, at least do much larger size or add a runner, or, who knows. All right, so it never triggered out, so I guess I'd consider that a winning second entry, although not one I would ever take. What does the 1 minute look like? I'm curious. Interesting. So not really sure what this market's doing. At the moment. Now I have a first entry, potential second entry long. Is it coming back down to finally give a real retest of the low here? Seems like it. Okay, so first entry, second entry, but if it triggers, I'm not going to take it right into the EMA on this side, so I'll be sitting out here. If it triggers, maybe on this chart, no, it's not even a second entry yet, just be a first entry. So nothing for me to do here. Just waiting patiently. See what the 1 minute looks like. It seems like the 1 minute's just giving setups today. I mean, I would have liked it right here below this. Just sticking to the usual BS system for now. It's definitely coming down. This ping there is just a reference to see it. At this rate, I really expect to see the retests, like a true retest. $41. So this is tricky because I know I've got the support here and a potential second entry long forming with room. This might be the third attempt that doesn't quite get there. What's it going to do here? cut the trade. Again, gang slippage. It's really starting to bother me because this is a number of days in a row where I'm getting slippage like this. All right. I must have got a bad fill on the entry again on the Apex account. All right, so let's see it. I'm just going to turn off my screen real quick so I can switch the account just to show the Apex account so I can see where the entry was. I just don't want to show my name on my live account, so that's why I'm blacking it out while I do that. All right, so should be one tick above here. So the high is 66. I should be in at 66.25. Wow. So one contract had 2 ticks of slippage, and on the other contract I had 3 ticks of slippage on the entry. The exit is fine. So this is a thing with the copier, because with Replicanta, because before the last update, I was having problems with the exits. I'm not having those problems anymore. The exits are rock solid, but the entries are giving me slippage from, now let me go back. So this was 66, 75, and 67. Let me turn this off again and look at the sim account leader and see where that entry was on that. All right, so here's the sim account leader, 6650. So even the sim leader had a tick of slippage. So the sim had 1 tick of slippage, and then the follower account had 2 ticks on one contract and 3 ticks of slippage on another contract. So I'm not sure if the same thing would happen if I just was trading directly off of the Apex account or not. It's hard to say. All right, so I didn't even calculate. Well, I got 2 different things. So what was this? This one got 2.5 points. So that's 10 ticks. So I'm just going to put 8 ticks. I think it's not going to be exact because it's like 7.5 ticks, I think, between the 2 contracts. I'll just say plus 8 ticks. All right. It's annoying, but it's a win, and I'll take it. All right, so that's the 5th day traded here. And update the stats here. So 3 a day, just a rock solid week. 194 wins. Am I getting close to the 82% category yet? Still a strong 81%. All right, so I've got one account left to trade for the day. Account 33. I'm gonna have to seriously think about my trading when I'm trading one account at a time. You know, it's so much easier to just trade using the Replicanto and trading from a sim leader to the Apex follower, just in terms of ease for me, using the YouTube, since I'm streaming on YouTube, to not have to bring up the chart trader window. I like to have this as open as possible because I know the window's somewhat on the smaller side for my chart on YouTube. Some people are watching on their phones or whatever, so I want to leave this as big as I can. So I don't want the chart trader open because that makes it even smaller. And then on top of that, my live account has my full name on it, so I don't really want to show my full name. So I don't want to have to bring up the chart trader and be changing the account that's being traded, because then every time the pull down window comes up, my name will be there. So that's the large reason why I've been using the Replicanto and the sim leader and then copying to whatever Apex account I want to trade, as well as just ease of use, because I've got all my accounts in one window. I don't have to like pull any, there's no menus or pull down menus or anything in the Replicanto. So I can just literally click on or off a account. And then I can choose the ratio of how many contracts I want on any given account. So it just makes it really easy, and I just have my ATM strategy set for one contract, and then I just multiply it in the ratio by how many contracts I want for any particular account, since I'm trading different account sizes and whatnot. So I like using it for ease of use for YouTube, but it's just really frustrating when I'm getting this kind of slippage on trades where I haven't seen this kind of slippage before this version of Replicanto on the entries. The problem was on the Replicanto before, I was getting situations I was either getting situations where I wasn't filling on the entry, and then it was filling me on the exit on the Apex account and putting me in the opposite trade. That's not happening anymore. So they improved that with this version. But now I'm getting these like late fills on the follower account. That's making me have less profit. So I don't know, YouTuber problems, live streamer issues. Anyway, there was a setup here again, but again, just going right back into the support. I just decided I wasn't going to take that while I was setting up, and it would have easily worked, as we can see now. But just a really obvious level here, so. It's kind of ironic too, because I switched off my ATM for going for more than 11 ticks. So if I had had that setting on, then my auto stop strategy would have kicked in, and I potentially could have got more than 11 ticks on this trade. Instead, I got less. But honestly, I was like really expecting a retest of this low. So the fact that we didn't get it made me a little bit nervous, because it makes me think like, oh, well, what if it triggers and then comes down to get it? But if that were to happen, well, I might be screwed, because if that were to happen, there's not really another level right behind it. So this thing could have just dropped all the way down. I'm not sure I would have survived that, but so that's why I'll take the win and be happy. So a 3-0 day, 17-0 for the week, 8-0 on the Alpine Orb, 5-0 for the week. I'd say things are looking pretty good for me right now. Just shy of 800 overall for all the accounts. Not that that really matters, but one day, if they're all PA accounts, that would, in theory, be enough to make some decent money if I was doing that every day. And that would hopefully just be the baseline of what I do. So I've got one account more to trade today. Just this one last active account, 33. 35 is not active yet. I think it renews next week. So renew and reset. I think it was on the 25th. So end of next week or something, middle of next week. I don't know. And it might be really good timing when that account comes back. Hopefully I'll be able to pass some of these accounts, and then that will give me a fresh evaluation to use on the side. And hopefully I can have another week like this week. And this is only the second day I've traded my PA account on the opening trade. So, and I've only been trading one contract on the 25K account. I'm not even trading it on the 50K account yet. So if I add more PAs, more PAs are going onto that open trade. So that will kick things into higher gear. Once I start getting payouts, I will loosen up my one trade per day per account risk management. Maybe I'll go up to 2 trades per day. All right, so we've got a new low in place here. So it'll be really interesting here to see if it just gives up the bag and falls out of this kind of range it's been in, and we're headed back down, or this is a failed breakout and get another push up. But it's really just, honestly, at this point, just looking like a full-on huge range day. Yeah, and this resistance is right around the midline. Yeah, this might even just be more like here, in which case the midline and the resistance is really making a lot more sense. So just interesting to see it that way. This looks like it makes a lot of sense to me. So we'll have to see what happens the rest of the session. I'm not going to leave it up, but I just wanted to look at that as reference. All right, so it's a good sign for me. I mean, I'm really, the fact that I'm getting 3 and 4 trades a day this week, I'm only trading the first couple hours of the regular session. I take the opening trade, and I don't trade again until a half hour later, minimum. And then I'm only on for 2 to 2.5 hours after that. So the fact that I'm getting 4 trades a day, 17 trades for the week, trading that way, have like the 5 kind of feels like bonus trades on the opening trade. So I got those 5, and I'm getting, if I'm getting 12 a week on the BS system, like that's a solid week. Like that kind of puts my numbers where I want them to be. Just having 3 or 4 trades a day really does that. And if I can win at this high win percentage, I know I'm not going to always not have losers, but if I can kind of be more like this more consistently, I might have a fighting chance of finally getting a payout one day. I know I'm not going to always have weeks like this. This is my best trading week by far. So, yeah, I mean, 17-0 in a single week. It's definitely my best week. I mean, maybe I've definitely had a 17-0 stretch before. I think my longest win streak ever, I was still trading on ES on Max Pat system. I think my longest streak, if I remember correctly, was like 23 wins in a row. So I've had better streaks, but that 23 wins in a row is over the course of like 2 months. Not in a single week. So things are definitely looking like they're headed in the right direction for me. And I just need to keep doing what I'm doing. I mean, the market, the way the market's been moving this week is helpful. I mean, the market's been clear for me to like see it for whatever reason that is, just the way it's moving. And then the opening trade working great combined with that has just led to a great week. And, a couple weeks ago, I still probably would have been a disaster, even if it happened right now, but the market acts like it did a couple weeks ago. I'd still probably be taking losses on the BS system today. So market conditions definitely matter. It's not just me, for sure. All right, so I'm just waiting here. The 80% discount is still going on for Apex. So anyone that is looking to start up on Apex or get more accounts, feel free to use this code or any other one that you might have. I know there's a lot of codes out there, so if you use mine, I appreciate it. But I certainly understand if you know someone else to use it, use theirs. But the 80% discount is going through April 30th. So we still got a couple more weeks for that 80% discount. The 1-day pass is still going on, so you can pass any evaluation, any size in 1 day. And so this has really been the best discount they offer other than the 90%. And the 90% they've only offered one time this year so far. I would expect they would offer it again sometime relatively soon. What I'm thinking is Memorial Day, July 4th, or Labor Day. So that's pretty wide gap there. I mean, sometime in the next 3 to 4 months, right? But otherwise, I think 80% discount is the best code that we'll see. I was surprised they didn't go down to 71% discount last time, and then they turned this 80% into a whole month. So it's interesting. I mean, I think they should just make 80% permanent. I think they should make 1-day pass permanent. And, I don't even care about the 90%. I'd be happy there. But what I don't like is the 71% because it makes it 3 times as expensive as a 90%. So, and twice as expensive as, well, not twice as expensive, 1.5 times more expensive as the 80%. So anyway, what I'm saying is it's not a bad time to pick up accounts. And some people have been using this code, so I appreciate that. Thank you. Also, I'm here live streaming every day at 10 Eastern, so you can like and subscribe and follow me on my journey. And, if you go back to my old videos end of last year, you'll see it's been a lot of up and downs. I was trading a different system on ES when I started my YouTube channel in September 2023. And my first 2 months were actually pretty great. I got close to a payout multiple times on my very first 5 PA accounts I ever had. And then by the end of the year, I don't know what happened. Market changed and my system fell apart and the whole thing blew up. And I blew up 4 out of the 5 PA accounts. And so that's when I had to reassess. And my brother was trading this way that I'm trading now. And so he showed me what he was doing, and it just made sense to me. I liked it. I wanted to try it out. So the day after Christmas, that week after Christmas, I switched over to NQ and started trading this way, and had a really good week trading on it. Had, I think I traded NQ for like a little while when I very, very first started trading on futures. But I mean, I was trading on like Thinkorswim at the time. I really knew nothing, and I was just like figuring things out. Didn't know how to read charts really or anything at that point. And so I switched. I had like I don't know, 4 a week or something, or 5 a week. I forget what it was. And so then I decided, okay, I did that off of YouTube, and didn't record any of it, and didn't put it, didn't post anything. And so then, as of the beginning of 2024, I started up YouTube again, and started recording all my trades and just doing review sessions and showing the live recording of my trades every day during the review. And it was clear that something was working about the system, but I had to figure a lot of things out. I had to figure out if I was trading by rules, had to figure out if I was taking every entry or not, like how much analysis was I applying to my trading with the system. And now 4.5 months later, I feel like I'm finally starting to find the right balance of like the difference between where I can take any entry where it sets up versus like where I need to use my own analysis and stay out of some areas as objectively as possible. And I don't know, I think I'm finding a pretty good balance finally. So the other key thing is when I was trading on ES, I was getting like very few trades, especially at the end of when all my accounts blew up at the end of last year on my own system, because I wasn't trading max pats at that point. I was trading a system I came up with myself. There was a time where I was getting a lot of trades with it, and then all of a sudden it dried up. I was getting like one trade here, one trade there, and I was back to like having the low volume of trades I was getting with max system. So and then I started picking up losses. So once I have losses, and only getting a few trades at a time, it just wasn't working for me. So now I'm getting a good quantity of volume of trades every week, which is key. It's so important. Let me see here. Anonymous Draft says today is the last day to pass an evaluation by today to have a new PA qualified for the May 1 through 5 payout request. Oh, that's a good point. That's a really good point. Thank you. Yeah, so if you don't pass your evaluation by today, the PA that you get, no matter what, you won't have enough days to trade to qualify for the next payout period. So that's always something good to keep in mind, depending on how fast, or how you trade, how much profit you make. For me, I don't really make enough profit for me to even think about that or care about it. And I've got, the PAs that are in the game currently that I've got enough trading days on those current PAs that I can qualify if I get there in time. But honestly, the way I've been failing to get payouts, where I come up just shy, I'm just too focused on it. So I'm trying not to even consider how far really the accounts are. I mean, right now I'm not close anyway, but I'm not trying to, for me personally, I doubt I'll make it by the next payout period, but maybe, who knows? I do have that opening trade working for me now, and I'm making $100 at a time on it on one of my PA accounts. And if I do get another PA account relatively soon, then I'll add another PA to the opening trade. But for you guys out there, anyone that it is a good point. If you are able to have bigger P&Ls, bigger profits every day, then it might be worth trying to pass today, if you haven't already, to make sure that your PA could be qualified by that next payout period. All right, I'm going to take a quick couple minute break. and I'll be back. Really just a few minutes just to see my daughter before she goes to school. And I'm just going to save everything here just in case. All right, so I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. What did I miss? All right, so price did fall through, came back, retested it. So, I mean, it definitely is feeling like it's going to the lows now. Looks like we had a first entry, second entry. Did this work? 25. $22.50. 10 ticks. So this one didn't work by 2 ticks. So this chart I can no longer trade with. So I will leave this chart alone. So I've got, I think I've still got 2 charts. So I can still trade with this chart. And I had a trade on this chart earlier. And it looks like this chart is still good. All right, so let's see here. It's 9 o'clock. So it's typically around this time through the next half hour where I usually will stop for the day. And to me, this looks like one leg, 2 legs down. I don't know if I would measure from here. I feel like I'd measure from here. So maybe something like that as a target. Or could possibly think that. 1 leg, 2 legs. Not very obvious. I think I'd measure it like that. But since it's not clear, I'm not going to leave it. Just have it in mind that it could be either close or a little bit further away. But all right. So ATR is really high on my charts, especially this one. This is a really big chart. This one a little bit lower. It's still high ATR overall. I don't think I really missed anything in this move down that I would have taken. Since my last trade, there's really nothing I would have taken in all of this. The only way I'd take any trades is potentially on the 1 minute chart here, but I'm not really looking at that right now. The thing is, I almost should have another chart up for just when I want to, if I see something on the 1 minute chart, and just take a discretionary play throughout the day. But I'm so focused on the BS system on the tick charts that I don't really look at it. Hey Louis Racer, welcome back. How are you? Holy moly, 100% weak. Yeah, amazing. It doesn't feel like it. Hey Louis Racer says, when you become a billionaire, please shout me out in a video. Thank you. I'll shout you out in a video right now. Halo Eraser. You're the key to my success. No, honestly, I mean, it's funny. I have a 17-0 week going right now, and it honestly doesn't really feel like it. Like, it doesn't even feel like I've taken 17 trades this week, which is a lot for me. I mean, 17 trades in a week is a lot. And then to think that I have no losses is kind of crazy. But yeah, I don't know, something, I mean, I think market conditions are just favorable for my system right now in general. And I think I'm also just in a good place psychologically for some reason. I think losing that PA that I had been working on for so long last week, I think I traded it for 45 trading days, and, I was within something like $350 of qualifying for a payout. And when I lost that account that was still overall doing well, it just kind of, something in me clicked. I don't know exactly how to explain it, but I just decided I need to trade more how I see me being able to trade, and less fearful, but also just being a little bit smarter in some ways. A lot of the losses I took on that account were just losses because I was getting a setup for my system, and I was just taking the trade because the chart was good, and I was getting a loss. And there's been so many clues in the last 4.5 months of real reasons to stay out of trades. And so when I first started trading the BS system beginning of the year on NQ, I was really still trading it with a lot of max price action trading system rules. And so I was really not getting a lot of trades, but I was still getting more than I was with his system drawing channels and everything. But I was getting like 5 or 6 trades a week, I think, but I had a really high percentage. Then I started opening up and saying, well, I'm missing out on a lot of winners because I'm being so restrictive by having a whole lot of rules. So then I started opening it up, and then I started getting more losses, but I was still 80% overall. And then with my trade management, one account at a time, one account per trade, one trade per day per account. The system's just going really slow. And then when I was getting close to qualifying that PA for a payout, I wasn't trading the same way. I was trading fearful and defensive and skipping trades for just out of pure fear, and then taking trades that I probably shouldn't have been taking. I don't know. It's just kind of like a weird thing that was happening. So I've kind of just changed my mindset a little this week, and it's paid off. The one of the biggest things is just deciding that I'm not going to accept my loss where my swing is on my entry, and that I'm going to just move my stop out of the way. And if it goes against me, I'll add a contract and I'll try to work out of the trade. Just mentally doing that for whatever reason is like allowing me to take trades that are a little bit more risky. And it's also just taking the fear out of it, because I know if it goes against me, well, I'm giving myself another chance to work out of the trade. Now, obviously, if this trade didn't work out, for instance, and it didn't go up like this and it just went down, this looks like I'll end up blowing that account if I was in that trade. Excuse me. But, it did work. But just the idea that okay, it's not over if, I had this idea here, right? So, I guess it's a little higher on this chart, but anyway, I had this feeling that, well, it's hard to show it on this chart because I'm not on the chart that I traded it on. It's this one. So if this went against me, just knowing that okay, well, I can work out of it. And quite frankly, the way this chart worked out, maybe I could have added a contract somewhere down here when it found support and then scalped out, and maybe I could have done it again here. So maybe I could have got 2 scalps that would have made up for that and, got out around break even, or who knows, or we could have done that and it just falls out and I lose. But, I don't know. I don't feel like I'm on the way to being a billionaire yet, I guess is the long and short of it. 3-0 for the day, 17-0 for the week, but the P&L is, the profit is not very exciting, still going slow. But the reality is, also Alpine's opening trade is a game changer for me, because if I'm rock solid 80% with my usual strategy, I'm now getting 5 trades a week where it's like a 98% winning percentage rate. So you can almost bank on 5 trades a week working. And so I got 5 extra trades this week out of the 17. So 12 trades are from my usual system and the 5 from the opening trade. And now I have 17 trades. So it's really kind of a game changer. I just happen to not have any losses on my typical system. And then combined with taking that trade, and this was the first full week taking that opening trade too. So I think it will be a game changer in the long run. And today I traded with 4 accounts on that opening trade. So, if I look here, I took this opening trade. I don't have the right account chosen to show the markers, but this is where I took the trade. And I took it on PA6, evaluation 29, 34, and 36. So four counts. Took it on the PA. The second day in a row, I took it on a PA. And so eventually, where it's on 4 accounts, but mostly evaluations, eventually, when that's on all PAs, or mostly PAs, however it works out, yeah, then I think that will be where things start to really change for me. So we'll see. But yeah, it feels good. I really was just waiting all week for the shoe to drop. Every single day that I had a no loss day, it's just like, okay, is today going to be the day where the loss comes? And it just hasn't happened. So if I can squeak out of here today without a loss, it'd be great. It's the last thing I want now, honestly, is to end up with a loss right before the weekend. So I'm going to be a bit more careful with the last 20 minutes that I trade here and just make sure it's a trade I like. I wasn't paying attention, but there's a first entry, second entry here. Looks like it would have worked. Yeah, 4 points there. So it would have worked for 11 ticks. But that's an example of a trade that I wouldn't want to take because it just seems pretty clear we're going for a retest of the low. Seems like that's what price wants to do. And there's just nothing saying that that's where things are going to end. I am curious if there would be a measured move right there that would have made sense. A little shy of it there. What if I measured from here? A little below it there. So yeah, not really a clear reason for me to take a trade there. So I don't think I would have taken that. It would have looked very dangerous to me. And just looking here, in fact, on my other chart, similar situation, new high, first entry, second entry above this bar, looks even more precarious, and this one definitely didn't work. It only went 4 ticks, so that would have been a loss on that chart. So I can't trade this chart anymore. So I'm down to one chart. Or the 1 minute if I want to take a trade on that. Halo Eraser says all steps in the right direction. I agree. Yeah. I'm feeling very positive about things. I feel like my headspace is in a really good place. I feel like I'm reading the market pretty well overall, just in terms of understanding price action and the tendencies of the market. And but I'm still just doing my thing. I'm still just going slowly, staying within my system. Right now, I think one of the most important things I'm doing is my risk management as far as my accounts, and one trade a day, win or lose, and that it's interesting. We'll see. I haven't had to work out of a trade yet, so I've now committed myself to this idea of like on this trade, for example. Normally I have my stop 1 tick below what I consider my signal bar, right? Which would be my entry bar and signal bar in 1 on this case because it's engulfing. Sorry. I've committed myself to not putting my stop there anymore. So, and no matter what account I'm trading, I think a big thing that got me in trouble previously is I was treating one PA account differently than all the rest of my accounts, and it just it didn't do me any favors. I think it actually made things worse for me. So whether it's a PA account, whether it's my quote unquote best PA account or whatever it is, I'm not going to put my stop there. I'm going to just manually move it out of the way. Maybe this weekend I'll actually adjust it to make it just go to where 2,500 drawdown is. And if it goes against me, I mean, I haven't had to do that with an Apex account yet this week since I've decided to do that. So we'll see how it plays out. But in a way, I'd almost rather just blow up an account in a single day than do what I did on my PA that was close to payout, because I was like, 3, 4, 5 times, I forget, within $300, $400 of a payout. And then every time I'd get a loss. And then I finally went on that streak where I was the closest I'd ever been. I lost $70 on a trade because the trade copier got messed up. And then after that point, I got 4 losses in a row on that account. And, every time you get a loss and you're further and further away, it's just more debilitating. So I'd rather just take my chance at working out of a trade if it goes against me right away. A lot of times in these situations, if I enter here and it's going to stop me out, a lot of times it'll just, make the new low from here and then it'll go up and work in my favor again. So I might as well give myself that second chance during the trade to get out of it. So that's what I'm thinking there. But yeah, I agree. All steps in the right direction. And it's funny. It won't take much for me to kind of get to the next level in what I'm trying to do. I can see it, but it does require putting money back in my pocket so that I want to play with Apex's money when I start getting more aggressive. And if I build up another, if I build up more in fees again, instead of going from 2,000 to 4,000, hopefully I can go from 0 or 500 back to 2,000 instead of, creating more debt into this. So we'll see how it goes. I'm feeling positive, and man, I can really just see, I can really see the potential of getting a payout on the 25K account, getting the payout on a 50K account, and then right there, I'm in the green. And then I can really just start doing what I want to do. And with this opening trade being really, I look at it being a game changer if it stays as consistent as it has been in all of my trade taking with it and back testing with it. If I just take 5 accounts, just say, and I only trade with the opening trade and everything else, I'm doing like a combination or something. Well, here's an example. I've traded for 8 days on this one. I've only taken the opening trade on this account, and I'm already up, more than halfway to the profit target just to pass the account. And it takes less to get payouts. So, just the one trade a day, I can see how Alpine's doing it, so it wouldn't take much for me to be able to, keep taking one contract on the opening on this account, get to a payout, get $1,500, and then hopefully not far behind, I can start doing it on a PA account, on the 50K PA account, and not far behind, hopefully get another 2,000, and then I will kick things into high gear for sure. I'll start playing evaluations, trying to pass them more in one day. Or maybe a couple days, and not do the one trade a day thing, and go bigger contracts and really try to turbocharge the whole thing. So it's really amazing. I mean, that is the power of prop firms. I think, you can't do that you can't adjust like that with a live account. You can't just decide like, okay, now I'm going to turn it on. If you have a small account and you're making $100 or $200 a day on it, on a single trade or whatever you're trying to do, with this system, then it's going to take a long time. And then, if I were doing it on a live account, well, if I started with a $2,000 account, I'm thinking about doing this. If I start with a $2,000 account or a $2,500 account, I could just do the opening trade one contract, make $100 a day, and 20 trades. Or actually, I think I would do it with 2 contracts a day per trade, $200 a day. And, after 10 trades, I'd make $2,000, take the 2,000 out and continue trading. And then if I make another $2,000, take another 2,000 out and just leave it where I can pay myself every 10 days, $2,000. I think I actually might consider doing that. But that's the only thing I can imagine really being able to do in my live account. I don't want to leave all the money in there because, it's kind of like what I did last time with my live account. I was up over $1,000. I never took the money out, and I just lost it all back, and then I lost all my original capital too. So I think if I can, when you have an opening trade like that, that's that consistent, maybe that's a thing that I can do with it. But you can't multiply it by multiple accounts, or you can't just decide, okay, I'm going to start trading it with more contracts because you don't have enough money in the account. Anyway, these are all the thoughts that I have, things I'm thinking about. Ideally, what I'll do is really prove it here on Apex, get some payouts, and then at some point take one of my payouts, right, and put it in back into my live account, and then start trading the open on the live account too, and then go from there and try to do that. Are you done trading for the week, Halo Racer? Or are you you're going to be trading all the way through the end of this session? I think yeah, I'm pretty sure you told me the other day you trade the whole session until half hour before close, if I remember correctly. Or maybe that was someone else. I forget. I'm not even looking at the right chart. Here's the chart. This is the only chart I can play at the moment with my system. And here's the 1 minute. Really just seemingly trying to get to the lows of the day, or the lows of the overnight session. Just I mean, what a crazy day. I mean, sell off fast in the overnight, buy back fast in the overnight, make a new high, and then open and just basically sell off the rest of the day. It's insane. And I still think that that range that I drew out is making sense. Midline seems to be having reactions just like this. So this could be potentially kind of like the bottom of the range, but yeah, it also obviously can be down here. Just think the midline doesn't look as good down here. So it's kind of making sense, but I'm not going to leave that on there. It's just kind of as an idea of what's going on today. For all we know, this will continue selling off after it reaches the bottom. And I mean, look at these all bearish candles except for one. So already went more than a measured move from the very top. Let me take that off. So what's the next point of resistance here? Maybe here. That could be potential, that could be potential, or down here. But I mean, also, I mean, these measured moves, my chart doesn't go far enough back, but first leg up, second leg up, I mean, it's like, it doesn't get much closer than that without actually touching it. It's amazing. Anyway, clearly things have changed in the market. There's a lot of bad news going on out there, so be interesting to see what happens next week, and well, for the rest of the day, for that matter. Although I'm not going to be trading the rest of the day. I'm going to be stopping soon. I do still have one account. I would like to get a trade on it. Just doesn't seem like it's going to happen anytime soon. At least not on the tick chart, unless I decide to freelance a little bit here on the 1 minute chart. But still, I mean, we're just in consolidation here in this area. Not having any convictions about trading the 1 minute chart at the moment. And there's probably some aspect of just not wanting to mess up my perfect week. I'm sure, you know, last thing I want to do is just take a loser on an account just because I wanted another trade. But what a week, man. Yeah, if I can figure out a way to be this consistent or nearly this consistent, I think this channel is going to get pretty interesting. Then it'll just really be about, really leaning into it and being more aggressive with the accounts. It's interesting though, because it's like the open trade, you can trade with more contracts. The problem is on those days where it doesn't work right away and you have to work out of it a little bit. If you have a lot of contracts, you're going to lose the trade more often. Whereas with 2 contracts, you have a chance to really give yourself a fighting chance to still make it work, even if it doesn't work right away, even if it goes against you right away. But obviously, like this week, it wouldn't have been an issue. This week, every single day worked just so easily. You could have easily traded 5, 6 contracts without feeling any heat whatsoever, maybe even more. And obviously making that much more per trade gets you to qualify evaluations and payouts on PAs quicker. Or, there's always the option of trying to do some kind of runner strategy. Even if you make it a 2+1, maybe there's some potential to make more money that way quicker. But still, if the trade goes against you immediately and you're now in for 3 contracts and you don't get your scalp right away, then as soon as you're adding a contract, you're in for 4 contracts. And so that's really making the margin small for your drawdown to be able to work out of it. With 2 contracts and you add a contract, you still have a lot of wiggle room to make it work. But once you get to the 4 level, the drawdown goes pretty quickly if it keeps working against you. The likelihood of a blow up happens really fast. So, I don't know, there's just that balance. I know, 100 Lot hasn't been here the last 2 days, but he was here before. And he was talking about doing, more contracts and with a runner. I think he was doing something like 5 scalps and maybe 1 runner, something like that. Which is great. A week like this week, that will, yield huge results for you. But if you're not using a stop, and you hit that day where it doesn't work out in your favor right away, like those accounts are going to get blown up. I think he was saying he was using a stop. I forget what kind of stop he was using. I feel like it wasn't that big though. I feel like he said something like 4 points or something. A 4-point stop is going to get hit a lot, so I don't know. He hasn't been by the last couple of days. I was interested to talk to him some more and see how things are going, but hopefully he'll be back one day. So, it's interesting. There's just so many ways that you can trade that trade, but I like what I'm doing. It's consistent. I've seen the win rate. To me, the win rate is like the key. I'm willing to take small wins and just let them pile up over days. Then like go for home runs and try to make it all happen fast because, just that one bad day, the one day it doesn't work, you could just really feel the damage. And then the BS system is just, doing its thing for me right now. So I kind of have like 2 things. I've got like a 80% strategy and a 97% strategy. That's a once a day thing. So I feel like I'm in a pretty good place with all that. All right, there's just been no setups at all. lately. Just this one on this chart, which I would definitely not have taken if I'd seen it. So, I mean, it's 9:30. I don't really have a read on what we're doing here price action wise, and it's the lunch hour. And I know, every time I stop trading, like the market goes nuts in a direction. I mean, lately it's been in the direction of down. This thing could easily, because of the kind of bigger range that is potentially here. I mean, this thing could bounce down here and then shoot back up for the rest of the session for all we know, and stay in that big range. But it definitely, according to the daily chart, doesn't feel that way. To the daily chart, it feels like this is just going to be bearish and stay bearish, right? The same thing happened yesterday. I was thinking that yesterday it could have potentially gone back up, and it just didn't. It stayed bearish. So that's kind of the obvious thought of what's going to happen is it's going to stay towards the downside by the end of the day, but just never know, because there's reason to believe it could just continue to bounce, these big bounces. I really have no idea. I think the best thing that I'm doing for myself is like having an understanding of what price can do, but not just expecting it and just being locked in on that idea and that it's just going to be that one thing. I think it's good to have an idea of what you think price action is doing. I mean, even at this point, like I can even kind of see that as a leg, which puts us right at this measured move, where it's finding some level of support. So, I even just find that interesting. I just saw that just by looking. So we can already potentially be at the bottom of the move. It could have already reached the destination. So I think it's just good to kind of like think about what's possibly going on, but not just being dead set like, okay, that's what it is and that's how I'm going to trade based off of that. I think you have to be open to, or for me, I don't want to tell anyone how to think or trade. So I don't think I can teach anybody anything. I'm just trying to figure it out. But that's what I'm doing now, and it's helping me, to just look for the possibilities of what the market might be trying to do. And then once it reaches a destination, just, if I'm thinking short right now and I just saw that measured move I just made, then I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe I got to be a little bit more careful if I'm thinking short, because maybe it's already done what it was planning on doing and it could be over. So hang out for a couple more minutes here. I am feeling like I'm just done though. I mean, it feels like it's been a long week. I don't know how I am 17-0 this week. It really doesn't feel like I took that many trades, but I know 5 of them are from the opening right away. So that's 5. So I took 12 other trades. I mean, where were they? I don't even remember. That's why I'm glad I'm recording all of this and putting it on YouTube, because I like to go back over the weekend and just kind of like review what's working and not working. I can hear my thoughts and see what I was thinking in certain situations. So I definitely, anyone that is trading out there and doesn't record their trades, I think it's really valuable. I definitely recommend, if you're not going to put it on YouTube, at least record it for yourself and get a mic and talk out your thoughts of what you're doing, why you're doing it, because it's really been a game changer for me ever since I started this YouTube channel, to hear myself talking about the trades, talking about where I'm at on the day, like what's going on. It's just really interesting to go back and hear it. And I could kind of see things in myself after the fact when I go back and watch it that I would never thought of in real time. And like sometimes I go back months. I mean, I went back and looked at stuff from the beginning of the year recently. and just to see what I was doing. And, just reminders and things. It's just really helpful. Definitely recommend it. At the very least, just record your trades, even if you don't talk into a microphone, just so you can see how things played out. Sometimes you don't remember like how the way things moved, or you had a reason to think something, but maybe when you watch it back, you'll see it different. You can find reasons to skip trades that turned into losers. But man, yeah, just thinking, like, knowing that I have a trade that I can count on first thing in the morning, like the first trade of the day is a winner most of the time, just changes my whole outset, because, there's been so many times with the BS system where my first trade is a loser. So for as good as it's been at 80%, there's been so many times where my first trade of the day is a loser. And so, kind of always have a little bit of nervousness on the first trade. And now it's funny, like I just have this like expectation that, well, it's going to work most of the time, my first trade right now. So it's a whole different feeling when I start my trading session, and then I just feel relaxed after that. The trade works, and then I switched into my BS strategy gear, and then I just feel calmer, and I'm more willing to just wait for the setups that make sense to me, and skip anything that doesn't make sense to me. It's pretty cool. It's definitely changed me. It's definitely changed my trading this week. I think that's why I'm 17-0. Right, this is interesting. This was a first entry and a second entry that just triggered. Not a trade I would take right now, just because of that measured move I measured out. I just wouldn't trust it. Even it's on a chart that's working. It may work. Whether it works or not, it's just not a trade I'm going to take, because it's just, it makes sense that we'll retest the lows, but, we've had such a sell-off and some consolidation. So, just rather not. It's probably an example of a trade I'm supposed to take, but I think I have an objective reason to stay out of it, which was that measured move that I measured. So we'll see if it works. I'll be interested to see. Right now, it has not worked yet, but it looks like it's trying to. Maybe at 1350. Okay, it just worked. Yeah. So it worked. I just don't feel like, it's already 9:40, so it's at the time where I'm already supposed to be done, really. So the way it's set up, I didn't like it. The way it's a measured move, I don't like it. And the fact that we're going into a weekend and I'd be risking potential loss, which would mean potential losing an account, right? When I'm supposed to be done going into the weekend is not what I want to do. So for all those reasons, it just makes sense for me to finish the day, wrap it up, call it a day, be happy. Feel like I did a lot of good things this week. I'm gonna have to go back over the weekend and kind of review the week and see exactly how I got to 17-0, because it's just kind of a blur. It's kind of almost unbelievable, but it's all there on YouTube. That's why I'm doing the stream, recording the trades and just doing it live. And the trades that I take are always existing, and the only trade I'm not showing on my live stream is the open trade, just out of really respect to Alpine. He doesn't show it, and I picked it up and figured it out based on his concept. So just purely out of just following his lead, he's got reasons to not show it on his live stream. And so even though I seemingly figured out how he's taking the trade, I'll review it, I'll show it after the fact, but that's the only trade I take that I'm not live streaming. And otherwise, it's all recorded and on, I do record the trade for myself so I can go back and look at them. I just don't put it on YouTube. But otherwise, every other trade with my BS system is on the live stream. So I and anyone interested can go back and look at how all the trades played out in real time. And then I always record my review video every day, so you can check that out. I'm going to do that after this. Again, the 80% discount goes on till the end of the month. Use this code or any other, April 30th. And when they pass going on, today's last day to pass, apparently, according to Anonymous Giraffe. Last day to pass a evaluation and be able to qualify that past evaluation, the PA, for a payout by the next payout period. And I've got 3 accounts that will qualify if I can just get to the profit target, but unlikely it'll be the next pay period for me to do it unless I get more aggressive. All right. Streaming every day, 10 Eastern. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll be back at it next Monday. Appreciate everyone that's dropped by. Appreciate all the comments. And if anyone has any comments for me after the fact, leave it on the video, and I try to answer all of them when they come. All right, that's it for me. I've said it all. Have a good rest of your day trading. Hope you had a good trading day and trading week. And I'm really stoked for 17-0. Try not to get too excited about it because, again, the profits are not overwhelming and exciting, but the concept of what this can mean for my trading overall as I move forward is. So, all right, I've definitely said it all. I'm done. Have a good weekend. See you next week.